Bellamy. I teach here at USC. I'm a visiting scholar. I'm also part of a VR startup called The Way VR. We're doing live music in VR, and I've 25 years in the industry, from creating games, running studios. I've run both trade organizations for the game industry for the world. How would I express myself differently? I think that there's a slider bar between sort of authorship and service that you have to consider when making anything interactive. I think that free of market constraints, I think I'd probably explore some very specific narratives, some very specific stories, and try to resonate maybe with a greater amplitude rather than with like sort of a broader reach. Sorry, maybe medium answer, but there's sort of public, personal, intimate discourse. I think I'd probably explore more personal, intimate stories versus more sort of public narratives. I think that free of market constraints, then then we still have discovery constraints, right? And so I think that that there would be more people devoted to discovery of all the art which is being created, and that I would hope more people were into like the preservation and the organization of it, so that people could discover it. If there weren't like such a hard market to sell, to advertise. I think that games are one of the primary ways in which people engage with each other now. I think that play, whether it be through games in the computer game sense, or the play, which is a big part of how we engage with society from like early childhood, right? That's one of the first things we do with anyone is play. Well, I think the first lesson people learn is sharing. In playing any game, there's usually a finite number of resources of some kind, even if it's just time. And games are one of the first places where you learn, I'm going to have to share a rule set with you. And we're going to have to agree on that rule set as we spend this time. Oh my gosh, yes. Oh my gosh, yes. Oh wow. Sorry. So, and all those issues are not topical for me. They're identity. So it's a little different when I address them. I'm actually addressing my existence on Earth. So, yes, from the very beginning of my career, I have actively taken the opportunity to address what I guess others call inclusiveness, but I'll just call me-clusiveness in the things that I create. I feel as though the accountability for that begins with me. And if I don't take a leadership role, well then, whoops, what a wasted opportunity. So yes, continuously. Sure, I'll give you a great example. So Madden football, back in the day, the players could only be one color. And so as you can imagine, it's a very diverse league. And so I, as lead designer, chose to make them 001. It's very dark, deliciously wonderful. And but what that meant was that some players were not represented as they looked in real life. But many were for the first time. And that was a choice that I made, and that's a choice that I was supported in my company with. And was wonderful, and I think empowering for people to see a reflection of themselves in the game. I think that identity, like people value being represented. I think that's a very powerful thing to be the default. And so I think the reaction was one of empowerment for people who were the default for the first time, and there's one of curiosity for people who weren't the default for the first time. Like, why would you make this choice not to make me the default? I'm default. work with Richard Bartle. Bartle types do absolutely influence how I think about how the products and games I work on will be experienced by different kinds of players. And then mechanics, dynamics, aesthetics, right? The Haneke Zubek paper. Oh my gosh, like once again, just thinking about the fundamentals of authorship versus service. Like, how will your creation be played? How will it be absorbed? And are you designing with that in mind? Powerfully affect me. As far as user research, I mean, I think that, like, I like to be research informed, not research directed. Oh, no, this is later in life. I was like mature and I start to, how do you get smarter, better? How do you continue to work out, right? If you want to stay in shape, you got to work out. Academic research, the ways that different people engage with our craft. I mean, that's sort of happened in my lifetime, like ludology, right? Wasn't even a word back then. But now, there's a number of people who are devoted to the craft of understanding games and understanding how people interact with them. And I think it's super valuable. I think it's awesome that our craft is relevant enough or valuable enough that people invest in understanding it. Absolutely. I mean, there's so much creativity, right? And across so many mediums, across so many journeys that people want to take you on, that discovery, and even having like a taxonomy for people to understand what it is that they may or may not be experiencing does not exist. The first taxonomy was created around like ratings, right, to keep people from playing games, right? So to have a taxonomy of discovery to move people forward towards content, that still needs to exist. That'd be a great academic paper, right? Like, that would be great. Like, it's sort of like with the mechanics and aesthetics paper, right? Like, what is fun? And then trying to break that down so people could pursue the fun that they wanted. Like, more of that would be fantastic for people, for games. Academic research is a lot like games, where there's no canon that the people who study games need to have played, right? So if it was me, like Metal Gear Solid 5, everyone has to play the first 30 minutes. It's fact, right? In any other craft, there is canon, like films that you've seen, books that you've read, that is shared amongst people who know that craft, right? I think that games need to start to define canon, both of gameplay experiences, but also the research that matters. And it might not be right or wrong, but it'd be something. It'd be a foundation upon which we could all build globally. And if the research is from Denmark or from India or from Indiana, no matter, canon, right? That's what has to happen.
So you feel that's lacking at the moment?
Absolutely. I think it's absolutely lacking. And I don't know, I haven't seen a program yet, now I haven't seen every program, where there's simply canon, where everyone who's in that program says, this is our shared experience. These are facts that we've shared for having been through this program. And then we did, our own individual journey off of that.